So in this first bit, my heels are not together because of my sway backs, and as I come down, my knees tend to go forward, and I need to keep my turnout muscles as soon as I start to plie. When I go down in a plie, my back is too far forward, and that's due to not turning out my muscles and restricting the mobility of my hips. My pelvis is not central, so it stops me from keeping my legs turned out as much as possible. I keep the arm too far forward when I do my second plie, and it causes my ribs to come out of line, and then everything's off its axis. When I go over, again, I'm putting weight into my left leg, and then I lose my balance and my weight is not in the right place. I shuffle my feet when I go into third, as because of my turnout muscle, I do not turn out as I dégage out. I turn out as soon as I close, which is the wrong time. Here, again, I'm not pulling up from my knees, and as I'm closing my feet in to releve, my knees are not pulled up because I'm trying to cheat my way in instead of pulling up from my hips. Here, my knees again are not turned out, and I lean too far forward. I sit into my plie too much and not actually fixed the way I should be in my pelvis. And again, as I go over, I lean into my left arm too much, and then it changes my weight. So from this side profile, you can really see where my knees have gone too far forward, and then my derriere, as I go forward, my hips seem to fold backwards, and that restricts the way that my hips are placed. My knees need to go back, but I don't use my knees to keep turnout. I would use my inner thigh muscles and try and grip onto them as much as possible. Because here, you can see I'm trying to push my knees backwards, but not actually using the back of my legs or my hamstrings, and then my quads don't seem to be working as much as they should. I don't keep my ribs in. My ribs are quite far out. I think that's, again, I don't use my sense of breath when I do plies. So I hold my breath and not actually figure out where my weight placement should be and where I should be using performance. Again here, my knees are so far, I know that I could pull up more than that. And when I lean backwards, my pelvis goes forwards, and my knees seem to bend because obviously I'm pushing all my weight forward when it shouldn't. It should stay on its axis, as my upper back should be the only thing moving, not my whole body. I overcross my body and I twist. My hips are not completely at the front. So again, it's like I'm cheating. I'm restricting the way that I should be doing my plies. And here, again, I dégage it out, and then when I come in, my legs are bent, and I should be pulling up from the hips, and I'm not. I'm just pulling my knees up. I need to pull from my hips. So here, you can see that my knees are pulled up a little bit more, but again, I'm using my muscles to turn out as much as I can on my quads, but not from the back of my hamstrings. I'm rotating, and because I'm not rotating, it's making my whole pelvis go backwards, but my upper body going forwards. And again here, I'm overcrossing my arm. I mean, it's a little bit better than the first video, but I think that's just through repeating and starting to figure out where my body should be when I do certain movements throughout this exercise. And here my turnout's better. Again, it's more my upper body. The turnout on my legs are not, it's not as bad as the first video, but my top half, it's like I'm trying to get away with leaning forward so I can go deeper in a plie, but it's not the case because my pelvis is actually going backwards. And from the side profile, especially with dance demo, the side profile, it does look quite bad, but from the front you can kind of not see it as much. And here my front foot's turned out, and then as I go up to my knee, it's all fine. From my knee, from my hip, it could be rotated a little bit more. It's like it's separated. I've also figured out that my glutes are not as strong as I thought, so I'm not using them as much as I should be. Here you can see that I'm using my back muscles, so then I don't put so much weight in my arms, so it looks a little bit more softer, but you can see my knees are going forward and more of a forward angle than a side angle. I know that not everyone will have 180 degrees turnout, but I know that I have more range that I could use. Here, okay, so yeah, my upper back, this from here, looks better than the first video, but it's like the top, so my upper back's up, and that's fine, and my shoulders are held backwards and my shoulders are held down, because you can see from the muscles working in my back. But then you go from the mid of my back down to probably my hamstrings, you can see it kind of scoops and then it sticks out, and that's because I'm okay from my upper back to the mid of my back. Come from my pelvis part of my back, it automatically just comes backwards, and you're trying to train it to come forward, but then my hips feel like there's not much rotation or range left in it, and that's purely because I'm not turning out from my hamstrings. So it's all kind of connected, and I think that if I increase my strength in my hamstrings by doing like lunge exercises and just keeping them stronger, then they'll be able to hold their strength a little bit longer, and that will be able to keep my turnout a lot better. And here again, I'm still kind of across it, so my left hip is going towards the bar and not forward. Yeah, so I think I can do a lot better, hopefully, through just making my hamstrings stronger. It would help and make a bigger difference. So here, this is the last video. This is just before I do my dance demonstration show. I can tell already that I'm really worked on my turnout, and by doing that I've been doing hamstring exercises, like even just lunges and squats, because my glutes are not as strong as the rest of my legs. So it's really helped my turnout, and I find turnout is probably one of my biggest problems in ballet or in jazz or anything, because it's like one of my weak points in dancing, so I really try and focus on it, especially with ballet. My second plie is deeper than the videos from before, and I think that's due to just like I'm not as confident beforehand, but now I know that if I really do work my muscles, I can get deeper. I'm not leaning my body as much, and I can see that I'm separating my pelvis from my ribs, so when I do go over, I'm not using all my weight into the bar. Here again, I'm still kind of bending my legs when I close, but my turnout muscles are so much better. I know I've got a skirt on, but I can still see just through from my thigh to my hip that it does look different. My front foot is turned out more, and again, like when I go into like a releve, from the first video you could see that I was only pulling up from my knees, and not really my quads wasn't working as much as I thought they would, but here I can see the muscles working a lot more, and I'm keeping my arm placement where it should be. I'm not overcrossing, which is good, because it was throwing my weight off. I could maybe keep my shoulder back a little bit more, but it's not the worst it's been. And here I'm definitely separating from my ribs to my pelvis. So here, yeah, I can see my muscles working a lot more, which is a positive sign. still my knees could be a little bit better, but it has improved. And I do seem to put my heels down first before I get up from a plie. So from about the second count of getting up from a plie, I put my heels down, so then I'm stable and being able to use my muscles before finishing my plie. Now I'm focusing on my legs more. I feel like that I'm not focusing on my shoulders, and sometimes when I don't, my shoulders do kind of rise up a little bit. So I think now, from now on, just now I know how to correct myself, I should probably think of my body as a whole and not separate it, because I've kind of gone through each part that I feel that I'm weak at, and now that I can see that what I'm doing wrong, and I know that I can feel what's wrong, I can just focus on my whole body and just check that everything's correct, because I know my axis is sometimes a little off, especially in the first video, but now it is so much better. And I can see also now I'm getting a bit tired that my knees tend to come forward again, but I know that I need to keep it back, and that's just due to muscular endurance, keeping strength as long as possible. Again, I shuffled my feet, I shouldn't be doing that. And here, yeah, my hips are still going towards the bar, so I need to find a way of keeping my hips square, and that's, I think, again, because my back foot's quite turned out and my front foot isn't, it's really putting off my alignment. And maybe if I adjust my hand on the bar a little bit further forward, it will kind of give me a guideline of where my hips should be. And yeah, I bend my knees again. So this is my Tondo exercise, and this is the first video. This is all about transference of weight and being quick and knowing where your weight should be as soon as you finish your Tondo. With this video, I feel that I'm not actually pushing my feet out as quick as I should, so then I'm not thinking about where my weight should be as quick as possible, and my hips are going all over the place and they're not staying square at all. In my head, that the way I think of it is I should really keep my upper leg, like my quads and my hamstrings, as strong as possible, and just shoot out and use, and more focused on like where my foot would be when I dégage out. Because if I think about my whole leg, then I start kind of moving my hips around and I don't keep into my axis, and then my transference of weight is out of place. It's not where it should be. I need to learn how to keep my pelvis not tucked, but neutral, so then it's really just my bottom half of my legs moving. It should look quick and clean. It doesn't, it's kind of messy with it, and my arms getting lazy because I'm thinking about my feet. Like, obviously I've just learned it as well, so I'd make mistakes, but yeah, I'm not paying for my thighs at all. There's nothing working there, and I'm bending my legs as I'm closing. Here, I'm not. When you do like a kick or anything within like jazz or ballet, you need to hold your core, and I can tell that I'm not holding my core at all because I'm using my hips, and like my hips are moving up and down, and it's not right. And again, it's just, I feel like it's probably one of the messiest exercises I started with because it is fast. With this video, this was like midway. I should know the exercise by now. This is kind of improving. Like I can see my thighs moving, my thigh muscles working a bit more. Yeah, so my hips are staying square, but now it's about using my feet, and I'm not using my feet at all. I know that I can point more than that, but because it's quick, I'm not thinking about the muscles and thinking about just getting there. And now I need to think about how I can use my muscles quickly and as strong as possible. And also using the floor, like metatarsals, just using, like working through my feet instead of just pointing. I should go from the ball of my foot and kind of just work through my feet, which I'm not doing here, and it just looks lazy, even though I'm not trying to be lazy. it does make it look lazy because it's such a quick exercise. You're not really I'm not finishing my moves before I close. And again, there is some turnout, but I know I can do better. My knees are facing forward, so I know I have more range of movement there. I think also I need to make it look stronger because it looks, with the music's quite fast and upbeat. You want to kind of match it, especially performance-wise, you want to kind of match it. So like, if my feet look stronger, it looks more in keeping with the music, and it doesn't look as lazy. It looks like I'm putting effort in. Even though I could be putting effort in, it doesn't look like it. And again, with kicks, like as I'm doing my kicking out into second, my foot is, so my leg's coming up, and then from the arch of my foot, it's just staying where it is, and then my foot doesn't actually point. And then, yeah, so this is the last video. Already I can see that my turnout's better, and I'm performing again with my face probably a little bit better. My hips are staying further forward, I guess, a little bit more. I can see that my feet are working better. When I dégagé backwards, I don't go right behind myself, which I probably should go more behind myself. I kind of go out to the side. It's when I close anywhere from the back, anything to do with that, my hips feel like they're locked, and I think that's because I'm not pulling up from my hips at all. The kicks look better. My kicks to second, they probably could be a little bit better. My hips seem to, as I kick, I sink so if I was kicking my right leg, I would sink my right hip down and lean into my left hip, which I should just keep putting up from my hips. And I reckon you can see it probably a little bit more when I do it from the back. My arms look stronger. I could probably use my back muscles a little bit more and pull down my shoulders. And throughout this exercise, you can see when I close, my legs start to eventually turn in a bit more and more and more, and then I think I need to maintain that turnout, because then my closes won't be a close. They won't be in the right position to close. So here, you can see, like, I get from a certain point when I kick up, and then as I go probably above 90, my hips start to sink, and I need to know how to hold my core in and pull up from my hips. And I think that's also because my pelvis might not be as neutral as I thought. Still, metatarsals are not the best. Like, I could probably do a lot better, but there's some improvement. So with this exercise, my legs, this is all about pulling up with my legs and my hips, because there's a lot of développés and holding your legs up. On there, I think this is overall like just strength and making sure everything's in place. With this video, this is probably one of the first times that I've done this exercise after learning it, and we do a penché. So when we do a penché, we don't do many of these in exercises, but when you do, you have to make sure that your back is still held up and it's not like you're just flopping your whole upper body down, and that's what I was doing. I needed to learn how to use where I can, a lot of people say where you pinch your kind of back muscles up. So when you do arabesque, it's all about back muscles. The stronger, the higher arabesque will be, or whatever. With a penché, it's basically the same, but you're just going forward. Here, my turnout, my knee is the knee is where you lead, where your développé will be, or the height of your développé. So I'm leading with my knee as far up, and then I'm kind of just flicking my leg out. I'm not holding it, and I'm not. So here, look. So okay, when I go down, I should put my back up and keep the leg where it was, and I'm kind of doing that. But now my shoulders are going really high because I'm straining and trying to hold it, but I'm not holding it in the right place. And then here, again, it's just all about holding your arms in the right place. It's definitely placement with this exercise. And this is the last video that I ever did with this exercise. Here, I think this is a lot to do with performance as well, and keeping your legs turned out. So here, close behind. Yeah, so I need to close and stretch my legs before I close. I feel like I'm definitely holding my legs better, and I'm putting my knee up to where the height will be and then leading out, which is better. With the poncho, instead of trying to get my leg as high as possible, what I'm doing is I'm doing it in the correct way and I'm not making it messy. And I'm holding my arabesque a lot better. And here, I could have stepped out a little bit more to make it look bigger, but it was better than the first video. It definitely was. And like with this, again, like it's all a sense of breath. That does play a big part in ballet, especially with like bar exercises, because a lot of people think bar exercise is boring. Well, you can't make it boring. Using a sense of breath is a way of performance. When from the back, you can see that when I dégage forward, so I'll do a développé to the side. As I'm coming out to second, my hip is moving with it, and it shouldn't. It should stay and pull up. Here, this is a lot better. I do hold my leg as high as I could from when I did the poncho. It might come down a little bit, but at least I'm pinching my muscles from the right part of it where my waist is. And this bit, yeah, I try and keep my knees as high as possible as well. But overall, it's better than before. In a leg way, it's all about, using the muscles in your glutes and your hamstrings, because it gives you the height. And here, you can see that I'm being quite lazy, and I don't even realise. My glutes are not the strongest part of my legs, but I'm not helping myself by where my front leg is not that high. It won't give me the height, and I do not switch my body around. And it's just not help. It doesn't help with the jumps. This is the last video of it, and I can see that it's a quick exercise. I get that, but I feel like here I'm kind of like using the floor more to get myself up. So here, it's not the best. It's not the best, but I'm holding my front leg and I'm squeezing the muscles in my leg to keep that ending position, where before I was just throwing it away.